sickle cell warrior, proud of it.
I'm a sickle cell warrior. I'm happy I just turned 30 years old last week.
I'm a content creator, and of course, the reason why I'm here today is because I'm also a sickle cell warrior.
Sickle cell anemia is one of the group of inherited disorders known as sickle cell disease. It affects the shape of red blood cells, which carry oxygen to all parts of the body. Red blood cells are usually round and flexible, so they can move easily through blood vessels. Two sickle cell warriors explain more about the condition.
Sickle cell is a genetic condition that affects the red blood cells. So by it being genetic, it means that you have to get it from both parents. Both your parents have to be a carrier of the condition for it to manifest in a child. So that means for me, both my mother and my father were carriers of the gene, even though they were not aware. So that is how I came to be born with the condition of sickle cell.
Sickle cell anemia is a blood condition that affects the red blood cells. And these red blood cells of people who are having sickle cell, they are not the normal biconcave shape. Biconcave, I mean, in biology we were taught how it was. It was round, but not round, a circle, but it's a biconcave shape. Now this shape helps it to go through the veins, the arteries, and all that. But for people with sickle cell, they have sickled like a C-shaped red blood cell. This is because they were born like that. The bone marrow has a defect that produces this red blood cell in this sickle-like shape. Now, when this sickle-like shape transport oxygen, they don't carry, first of all, the enough oxygen that the body requires. Second, when they move, they tend to block the arteries and the veins. So that's when you feel pain. Yeah, because when it's blocking somewhere like here, that means this area is not getting oxygen. So organ damage is a very common occurrence in people living with sickle cell. And any other, and pain is a sign that you have sickle cell crisis.
According to the World Health Organization, WHO, 2/3 of people affected by sickle cell worldwide live in African countries. It is the most prevalent genetically acquired disease in the region, and the survival statistics are stark. Despite its disabling effects, which can include severe pain leading to infections and fatigue, it gets less attention than it merits.
Came to know that I have sickle cell a bit later in my life, maybe when I was around 10 years old is when I started noticing I'm going to hospital a lot. Then I started listening in keenly to what the doctor was saying and my mom was saying, and they would call me a sickle cell patient or a sickler at that time, of which right now we don't really use that word. We prefer being called sickle cell warriors. So I wanted to know more about it and understand why really do I have to keep going to hospital, going for appointments, while even other kids are just in school. I find myself that most times I keep falling ill, getting like infections, like chest infections and all that. So that's how I came to know about sickle cell. So as I was growing up, I just came to know more and more about it. The first thing for me that stood out is the way I'm different from others is that apart from getting sick a lot and needing to go to the hospital regularly, I had jaundice, which was causing my eyes to be a tint of yellow, which was different from other kids. So even in school, I remember this created a bit of concern because when you're a child, you never really want to be different from others. So for me, that was the first thing that really impacted me, whereby I felt a bit of insecure about it. But I just tried my best because now I started trying to understand how can I get rid of jaundice or maybe feel better. Then I was told always drink a lot of water, so that's how I incorporated that practice in my life, just drinking a lot of water, eating a lot of green vegetables, even though as a child they were disgusting, you know, those mboga kienyeji and all that. I did my best. Yeah, even eating healthy, keeping warm. Like when I used to go to school, I'd have to wear a t-shirt under, the normal school uniform. So those are just things that became part of my normal practice, which maybe for other people were not normal, but for me, I knew that I have to do this for my well-being. So that's just how growing up with sickle cell was for me.
I was diagnosed with sickle cell at the age of 7. And at that time, even Kenyatta Hospital had no diagnostic machine for sickle cell. So I remember we being referred to Makadara, which is Coast General Hospital in Mombasa. That's where we found out that I was having sickle cell anemia. It didn't come as a surprise because my cousin the same age was diagnosed earlier, I think 8 months. For me, it was 7 years. So then at that time, I think there were 2. Another cousin was also small and also had sickle cell, so we had 3 in the family. So it was not a surprise, but it was not. I didn't know if it was a bad disease or so. I remember that day my mom telling me, you have sickle cell anemia. I'm like, maybe it's like just any other disease. Until the pain episode started.
Some of the symptoms of having sickle cell anemia, definitely when you're a child, you find that you're prone to falling ill a lot. So when you go to hospital, that is when the doctor will want to check and see maybe there's an underlying condition, and they do a screening test. So the only way someone can identify that you have sickle cell anemia is by screening. So upon screening is when they can now give you the correct diagnosis, and they can now start giving you the right medication. So some of the unique symptoms for sickle cell anemia is getting the painful crisis, which really affects the joints. It usually feels like when you knock like maybe your knee or your elbow at a glass table or at a sharp edge, that daunting pain. So that's how a sickle cell crisis feels. It just feels like such kind of a pain moving around in the body, though some describe it as like broken glass moving around in the body. Yeah, so painful crisis, definitely jaundice, getting a lot of infections because of the nature of our blood. Apart from that, some of the symptoms are unique to other people depending on how they are. Some get like sores in their feet. Some even get stroke because they get blockages in the brain. Yeah, so it depends on how the condition is actually treating you and how you're managing it.
First of all, I had started growth. I was not growing well. Started growth. My eyes were yellow all the time. Yeah, it's something to do with the way the liver, the bilirubin works. So you find that we have jaundice. So jaundice is the first sign. Then this pale, you don't have enough blood. Yeah, like a normal male is 14. For 14, the HB is 14. For female is 12. For me now, it alternates. Like this week I was not well, so my HB went down to 10. Yes, but most of the time it's 11, 12, which is good on a good side. I'm very okay, but some people experience from 5 to 6. So being anemic is one of the symptoms. Then you're weak. You're weak all the time. You can't do activities like other people are doing. We have swollen abdomen sometimes. Like if you look at someone, they have swollen abdomen. There's a way facial expression that the doctors know. Because I remember when we were admitted in Kenyatta, they'll just come and ask you if you're a sickle cell anemia patient because of the way we looked facially.
The treatment and management of sickle cell anemia is usually aimed at avoiding pain episodes, relieving symptoms, and preventing complications.
Sickle cell, first let me start there. There's no treatment for sickle cell. It's just management of it. The treatment that is there right now is bone marrow transplant, BMT, which is done in India. I'm hearing that they are coming to the Indian doctors are coming to Kenya, but that is not it's not confirmed yet. So the management part of it, we take folic acid. We take a drug called hydroxyurea.
If you don't come from a background whereby you have the availability of having medical insurance that is reliable, it will be a hassle because some of the medication are quite expensive. For example, you have to take folic acid every day to just help you with the production of red blood cells. And then there's other medications such as it can be Penv or Palodrin, which helps you to prevent getting infection. And this medication can range from like 10 shillings or even up to 30 shillings per pill.
Hydroxyurea is quite expensive. Hydroxyurea is 40 bob per tablet in chemist in our local pharmacy. Apart from that, the painful episode means you need to go to hospital. Yeah, I realize even the NHIF does not support or does not enable you to take hydroxyurea when you're going to hospital. So it will sort you out in terms of the outpatient, inpatient, but when you're coming out, hydroxyurea you buy.
Unfortunately, for sickle cell warriors, we are usually exposed to a lot of high-grade drugs, even from hospital. Because you might find sometimes the hospital that you're going to does not regulate the kind of painkillers they give you, or they are just responding to how you're responding to pain, because different people have different thresholds for pain. So it's common for people with sickle cell anemia to fall into addiction of painkillers and such drugs, unfortunately. So therefore, that's why we really need to even check in hospitals to make sure that where you're being treated, at least they have your history and they're able to understand generally how to treat sickle cell anemia.
People with sickle cell anemia can get affected either in a positive or negative way due to pains they go through.
It has affected me on a positive way or a negative way. Let me start on the negative side. I remember when I was doing my master's, I developed something called a vascular necrosis, whereby my right leg, my right hip was not getting enough oxygen because there was blockage of the sickle for a long time. So I was just using pain medication to numb it so that I can continue the education. But it became worse. I couldn't walk for a year or two, I remember that time. And I even failed some units in my master's and took a very long break that I'm still going back. So that is the disadvantage of it. You can get sick anytime.
Sickle cell anemia patients require comprehensive support to manage their condition effectively.
My wife has come to understand the disease. We are now 8 years in our marriage, and she has come to understand it fully well. She's the one who can just look at me and say, you have not taken water, you're about to get sick, so take this, do not do this, and all that. So she has become a pillar in my management.
For me, being born with the condition of sickle cell, it has definitely prompted me to be able to become a sickle cell awareness ambassador rather than just being quiet about it. So previously, I have done sickle cell awareness projects and fundraising, whereby we have partnered with cyclists who did a cycling challenge for 24 hours from Nairobi to Mombasa, so that we can create awareness about sickle cell and, more importantly, fundraise to buy a screening machine for a sickle cell organization in Mombasa. So for getting in touch with different organizations from different parts of the country, especially in Western Kenya and the coast region, because this is where a lot of people with sickle cell anemia are found geographically in Kenya, were able to identify the need for having screening machines, so that even these organizations can now be able to have their own data of people within their community who are affected with sickle cell anemia. So because of this project, actually I was approached by a founder or one of the founding members of the Rotary Club of Karen, and I actually decided to become a member so that now I can be able to be more impactful with this agenda that we have of creating awareness for sickle cell anemia, as well as creating more facilities for screening within the community.
The month of September is usually a National Sickle Cell Awareness Month, designated to help focus attention on the need for research and treatment of sickle cell disease. Top comedian in Kenya, Akuku Danger, who is also a sickle cell warrior, had a collaborative initiative with Center for Sickle Cell Warriors, together with Ministry of Health, Kenya Tissue Transplant Authority, and DAMU KE, that is, the Kenya Blood Banking Management System, for a blood drive donation that will help sickle cell warriors in times of crisis.
The reason why we came up with this is because we've noticed that in so many hospitals out there, unapata a warrior needs blood urgently. And when they need blood urgently, unapata naambiwa, lazima kwanza you have to talk to your relative, mwenye sijui yako wapi akuja donate damu, so that, you know, so we wanted to bridge that gap in a way whereby if a sickler needs blood, they just give the blood straight away, then the World Bank will always compensate that hospital wherever they are. So it becomes easier and the flow becomes also very easy.
Currently, we've been having victims of sickle cell anemia patients, mostly in so many hospitals. Like in Kenyatta, we've been having a patient from a neighboring school. That boy has been receiving blood. So we see it's very important for sickle cell anemia warriors to come and mobilize donors for their victims. As we do the phlebotomy, that is breeding process, we normally do it safe. We normally use safe blood. The bags are safe. Everything we are using here are safe, and they are sterile. Then from there, after the breeding is done, the blood is also kept safe. From here, it's been kept in our cooler boxes. We have cooler boxes where we normally keep them in a given temperature. Then from there, it's normally taken to our blood bank.
Despite all the challenges, sickle cell warriors have hope and resilience that they can live a normal life and achieve their dreams.
If the government can come up with a way in which they can also, make sickle cell a priority, just like any other, like cancer and everything, then I think we can meet halfway and, see how NHIF can be subsidized for sicklers, which I think that is the goal that we are fighting as Center for